Hello, everybody. Welcome to World 1-1 Podcast. I am your host, Eddie V. Thank you guys for joining us. Today, I have my co-host, Mr. Larry Giver.
Morning.
And Mr. Adrian Nieto.
Simon stole my cake. Oh, hold on. That's for a different podcast. I need a cash for this.
And we're just going to be having a good discussion about retro games and current games and offbeat topics and random talk. But how you guys doing? How was your weekend?
Generally uneventful. Spent it working.
Adrian?
Yeah, that's pretty much my weekend as well. Although we just lost an hour today because of the time change. I'm so annoyed by that.
Yeah.
I spent most of mine playing Paper Mario 1000 Year Door for the GameCube for the first time.
Yes, I seen that.
Game. Sorry?
I seen that. I seen that picture and I got kind of happy. I'm like, yay! So,
no, yeah, it's
go ahead.
Well. No, that's all I was.
So, what? Before we start the show, we're just having a random discussion about some older games and some arcade games and stuff. And I want to ask you guys, starting off the conversation, what have you been working on in your backlog, or what have you guys been playing? I could actually say I started Yakuza 5. It took me a 3-hour download to get that game working, but I'm like on chapter 3, so I'm working my way through that game because I like the Yakuza 5 series. But I'm going to be starting my Wii U backlog and start going through Twilight Princess, HD, Wind Waker, like really finishing a whole bunch of games while still spending a whole bunch of time grinding in Pokemon. What about you guys?
I just finally got to start playing through Twilight Princess Wii U. I have not, unfortunately, had a whole lot of time to sink into it. I'm somewhere in the middle of getting the first batch of tears, so just trying to get out of wolf form. Beyond that, slowly chipping away at New and Tasty on Wii U as well. Just saw, too, that there's supposed to be an announcement coming, it looks like Monday, from the Oddworld bunch. And my guess is they're probably going to be putting out a date for the rework of Exodus. So, looking forward to seeing more of that tomorrow.
In my case, I've been playing, like I just mentioned, 1000 Year Door Paper Mario on the GameCube. I decided to start playing on Friday. I have 2-3 hours on it, and it's fantastic. I love the Paper Mario series. I love the original Paper Mario series, not the new stuff. The new stuff, I swear. So yeah, like I don't have enough time to play more than 1 or 2 games at a time. So that's my backlog. That's the one that I'm playing for my backlog right now, and it's making me really happy.
I know I need to finish the N64 version. I have it on my Wii. But I need to get back into playing. I got a lot of games on my Wii that I need to finish. I wonder if the Castlevania Rebirth is still available, because I love the Contra Rebirth. That one was really nice. That's when Konami made like really good 2D games. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Last one I got into was Contra 4 on the DS, and I had a ball with it.
Yeah, and in my case, when Contra was at its peak, I was too little to play Contra games.
Oh, I
never played them.
You have.
I'm sorry, but yeah, like I'm the younger one here, so like, well, I mean, I guess I did play Contra, but I played when I was, I don't know, like 16 already.
The first Contra?
Yeah, the first Contra.
Oh, the first Contra.
Yeah, and that was 10 years ago, something like that right now. And I mean, it's fun. I like them, but I can't say, oh yeah, that's when Konami used to do good 2D games, because I have nothing else to compare it to. Like, I don't think, besides that and Castlevania, which other 2D Konami games are there?
Turtles, the arcade game for NES.
I'll say all the Turtle stuff from back in the heyday.
Yeah.
Oh, the Konami. I didn't know that Konami did the games. Oh,
yeah.
They were originally published under the heading of Ultra, but it was a subsidiary owned by Konami, and they did it at the time because Nintendo had a cap on how much stuff a company could publish out on their system at the time in order to try and encourage quality control. And so Konami published it under a different company name to get around that.
Okay, that's actually pretty interesting. The TMNT games were well, I mean, like I like them. I can't really speak much for the NES days, even though I've played a couple of them. I'm sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
But Turtles in Time, which was arcade and Super Nintendo, if
Super
I'm not
Nintendo.
mistaken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Super Nintendo was the best version out of it. The arcade was fine, but like the Super Nintendo had like more levels. And I think
no
it just
clue
played
how
more
many
levels.
hours I sink into that game.
Oh, I beat it at my friend's house on every level, without changing the man. And then when I asked for my Super Nintendo for Christmas, I asked my mom to get that as my first game, even though I beat it like multiple times.
Nice.
So, and then Turtles Tournament Fighters came out. That's when I really got into like fighting games, like after Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat. Like Tournament Fighters was like the best one on Super Nintendo. I got the Sega Genesis version, but that was like muddy and the controls were not good. Like they trying to go for like a comic book feel for it. I did play Hyperstone Heist also for the Sega Genesis. Like RKB Toy Store used to have like a lot of Sega Genesis games for like $19.99. And if I had a Sega CD, I would have took Snatcher over Rama Half for the Super Nintendo.
That's incredible.
So,
And the good old days. I don't remember these days though.
yeah, it was a
I
shock.
have fond memories as a child growing up playing the third one on the NES, the Manhattan Project.
That one I have
my
not
favorite.
played.
Loved Manhattan Project.
I should have played that one. So, we're going to get to our first topic that I posted to the guys, and you guys who was listening to it, I'll give you an email later, and I kind of want to hear what you guys think about it. I asked the question with Nintendo showing what they have planned for the Nintendo Direct. We kind of know what they're planning for this spring and summer, like from January until June. You know, we got a ton of great games coming. But we don't know what Microsoft and Sony has coming. Microsoft has Cuphead, and then after that, we really don't know. Sony has Uncharted 4, and then after that, we really don't know. Like, should we be worried for Sony and Microsoft after they have their big releases, or do we wait till E3 to actually see what they got going for the rest of the year?
I think we still know a lot of what Sony has coming, because so much of what they showed at E3 last year has yet to materialize on a store shelf anywhere. Going down the list, Guardian, Shenmue 3. What the hell was that Dream game that they showed that looked really cool, but still have no idea what the hell it actually is or what you do? But
the one
it looked neat.
Media Molecule, yeah.
Yeah, it looked awesome. And these games are nowhere yet on a store shelf that I can pick it up and play it. That means they've got to still be coming somewhere, and I'm willing to bet you they're gonna touch on that again. Not to mention, I'm sure as we draw ever closer to Final Fantasy VII, that's going to get played up more. And over on the Microsoft side, I know you and I were speaking yesterday, and let's start with the obvious. They're going to trounce out, Call of Duty, what the fuck, wherever on now, as like it's their own console exclusive. Not that it is, but let's act like it, and maybe somebody will buy into the bullshit. And on top of that, the other one they showed that I was really curious to check out, just from A, seeing it, and B, seeing who's working on it, is Core.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I'm sorry, Recore.
Recore,
is what it was called. And it looks spectacular. I like the idea. I liked what I saw, and I'm very excited because of the people that are working on it. So
that was pushed back though.
Say what?
That was pushed back though.
Exactly. So again, here's something that they can trounce out again for a second year in a row to beef up their show. And these are things that we know we can expect to see coming. And on top of that, on top of Cuphead, um, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure one of the two of them is likely to show a drift because that can't be far out at this point, which also looks spectacular. So,
And there's also No Man's Sky coming in June for PS4.
well, they say
Yeah,
it's doing that
but isn't
coming for how
E3 in
many?
July though?
E3's in June. E3, I think
You
it's the
know,
second week of June. Yeah.
yeah. No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
So
Because I actually, you know what's weird? I think, if I'm not mistaken, No Man's Sky is coming out around the same time as E3. That is a weird release date.
yeah, but it's kind of weird that we know what Nintendo is giving us. So of course, like definitely for me, that's $500+ like out of my pocket. The only game that I'm looking besides the Division, I gotta pick that up. The only game that I'm planning to get for Xbox One is Cuphead at the moment, and then for PlayStation 4 is Uncharted 4. No Man's Sky doesn't kind of interest me just yet, till I find out more. But Horizon Red Dawn, like hopefully when they show more of that we get a date for that. The Last Guardian, we need to get a date for that because I feel like those games are probably coming out in the fall or in the winter, but it's very sparse. Like definitely for like third party, I'm like, how is Sony selling all these PlayStation 4 systems and there's not really a lot of games coming out quick enough for it?
It's easy because it's the new thing that everybody has and everybody wants, and that's what moves units. Every time Apple releases a new iPhone, it's not because it's great, says the guy that has an iPhone, so I'm gonna clarify that. It's not because they're great. It's because they're a brand, right? And
Yes.
whenever they announce a new iPhone, everybody goes like, "Oh, dude, there's a new iPhone coming," and that "Oh, dude, there's a new iPhone coming" feeling starts to spread out across friends and family and stuff like that. People line up. They get the things right away. They're early adopters, and it's the same thing with the PS4, right? Like when the PS4 and the Xbox One were coming out, they came out fairly close to each other, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Um, we had more pre-orders for PS4 because it was that everybody wanted to have a PS4 just because, like, hey, has a better RAM memory, it has the hard drive space, you can change it if you want, it has more powerful graphics, is 1080p, blah blah blah, and everybody like just buy it out of that, and they were like, yep, then I'm getting a PS4, and it's still the same thing going on. Everybody still wants to get the new iPhone in gaming, which is the PS4, really.
I think at this point, the big thing driving the PS4 is that it's been out long enough now, and there's enough out there for it that people are finally looking at the catalog, going, okay, now it's worth investing in because I don't have to wait for things to trickle out. I can buy a PS4 and a good handful of games to keep me busy for 3 months because it's all out now. And a lot of those games, they haven't played yet, have dropped in price over the last year or so.
Yes.
They can get them for a reason, for fairly cheap.
But I would kind of say that for me personally, the Xbox One has a better advantage over the PlayStation 4. And not because of games. Definitely for me, it became the hard drive where, I talked to one of the Microsoft reps and it's like, well, actually Xbox One, you could go up to a 5 TB external hard drive to store your games, to store your data. And I was just like, wait, when did they upgrade it to 5 TB? He's just like, with the latest update. This was a couple of months back. And Sony still hasn't done that. And I think if Sony would have did that first before Microsoft, it would be better. Like, you wouldn't have to do all that hard work trying to replace the hard drive.
I actually have to counterpoint that, and I'm not in behalf of Sony or Microsoft. I am a known Nintendo fanboy.
Of
Well,
course.
not really fanboy. I don't think I borderline fanboy. I'm just I'm a
Um,
Nintendo supporter.
you're
That's
head of
that's
the
probably the best way.
you're head
Sorry.
of the MVC Video Game Book Club, where you can find us on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Shameless
Exactly.
plug and go.
Yeah, exactly. No, but changing the hard drive on a PS4 or a PS3 for that matter is not really that hard. It's not as hard as you think. I got the one of the fat PS3s that first came out,
Uh huh.
an 80 gig one, and it took me like I don't know 5 years to fill the hard drive, and I was like, you know what? I think it's time to upgrade. So I did the easy thing. I went and got myself a 500 gig hard drive.
Uh huh.
It was super easy. You just take a plate, then unscrew it, whoop, take it out, put the new one in, whoop, and then use USB to install the software, and you're good to go.
But
That's all you need.
I think it's easier to just be like plug in, connect, optimize,
Yes,
done.
but when you compare, okay, I'm getting a 5 terabyte external hard drive
Uh huh.
to I'm getting a 5 terabyte hard drive, just the hard drive. Money wise, you're saving yourself like $100 or so.
Well, yeah. But I was actually shocked that Microsoft even allowed the 5 terabyte. I think because definitely with the library that both PlayStation 4 and Xbox have, the installation still for those two systems takes forever in a day. Like you could play the, oh goodness, you could probably watch the whole, um, Lord of the Rings trilogy, and Destiny would still be downloading for both systems. Like that kind of that downloader takes forever. But I think with an external hard drive, and I know this is kind of getting away from the topic of what we talking about. Uh, I think it benefits more on Microsoft parts with their hard drive with the games that they have, and most sales that happen for video games. When it comes to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it would just be better to get it for Xbox One because sometimes they'll have like maybe $20 off of it because people are not buying it for Xbox One compared to like maybe $10 off for PlayStation 4. You know.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, like you said, if let's try to get it back into topic. E3 lineup for both Microsoft and Sony. I agree with everything you guys said. Yeah, we'll probably see another Call of Duty. We'll probably see more Final Fantasy VII. Titanfall 2, I think it's been rumored for a while, so that might be coming for Microsoft. Um,
Yeah, that's
what
if
else? What
they
else?
that is if they get the exclusive from EA with Titanfall 2.
Yeah, exactly. Record, yeah, exactly. Like we may see some of those stuff again. Honestly, I don't know what I'm expecting from them. I don't know if there is one game in particular that I'm saying like, hey, I hope they announce this. I hope Mighty Number 9 gets released before then. That's probably all I can say. If I see it at another E3, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Isn't this supposed to be next month in April?
No, I think it got pushed again, Larry.
I haven't kept up on it. I want to play it, and at this point, it's been moved around so much. I quit caring until it's somewhere on a shop channel and I can buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I
You know
don't
what?
care
Put it
anymore.
in front of me, I'll play it. But right now, I quit trying to keep up with your bullshit.
Yeah, I think in my case it's gonna be something like, oh, I got an email from Kickstarter. Oh, this is my key for Mighty Number 9. Cool, downloading. And that's about it. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be anything other than that because they've been taking their sweet time with their pushback. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I honestly I don't know what to expect from E3 this year. E3, it's kind of weird. E3 for me, I remember it in 2007 all the way to probably 2012. So 3 years in a row, I was 3 4 years in a row. I was always excited to hear for E3, right? Like, man,
Uh,
E3 is coming. It was always an event for me. I would like stay at my place, like I wouldn't go to like school or work that day. I would like sit in front of my computer with a bowl of cereal to stream it. Like it was like my day, right? Like it was my week. My week of E3 was always exciting. I was always looking forward to it. But these past few years, I've been trying to think, right? Like, hey, there's been announcements here and there that I really enjoy, but other than that, like I don't fully remember them. Like,
Actually, I would say that last year had a very strong showing. At least Sony did. I distinctly remember thinking that for the first time in a long, long time, I was really excited, at coming out of Sony's conference, watching that and thinking that was solid front to back. Like they pulled out everything that they needed to and had been needing to for the last 5 years. Because last year, they finally showed again Last Guardian, Final Fantasy VII, which has been, floating around as rumor and demand, and we want this for a fucking decade.
Which
And then,
I would ask you a question about that. But go ahead.
and then, capping off with Shenmue 3, which again has dropped off the map as we were discussing earlier. But, as far as an E3 showing goes, you've got three real strong pillars from the front, the middle, and the end. And even everything in between, for the most part, was actually pretty good looking.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Dreams game looked really cool. On last year we were looking at Unravel, and if
that
I
was
remember
Microsoft.
correctly, was Unravel Microsoft?
Yeah.
I'm out of my head. I remember thinking.
Was it Microsoft? No,
it was
hold
EA.
on, hold on.
No, EA.
It was EA.
showed
Yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah, you're
EA
right.
conference. That was
But-
pretty much the best thing throughout their whole conference was Unravel.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I remember thinking that that was a solid showing front to back, Sony for the first time in years, and again looking at Microsoft, half their show feels like filler, like they're just filling it with non-exclusive crap from other publishers. It's like we watch your show to see what you're bringing to the table and why we should get behind your system, and they're not doing that.
I will say with Microsoft, like I look forward to their Forza series, even though I haven't really played it. There's something about the Forza series. I love their presentation, not with the dropping cars and all that other craziness, but like when they show in game and showing what how they're trying to go in the direction. I think that's very impressive. I do like their Forza stuff. The HoloLens thing last year, I was really blown away with Minecraft. Just like that looks kind of cool on. How they kind of use that study camera or whatever, to showcase it, to see it. I'm like, that one was really cool. I think Microsoft kind of really focused last year more on indie games than they did, console games. Because definitely with Sony and Microsoft, they rely heavily on third party. So, they got to get the exclusive stuff, but when it comes to them bringing out a lot of first party stuff, I don't think both of them are not strong in that. Like when we look at the,
they used to be.
Yeah, like the Last Order 1816 or whatever that game was, that was a disaster. That was a complete disaster. And nothing else besides Bloodborne for PlayStation 4 has been strong enough. Now, I will say, with me and Johnny Womack from the Happy Hour with Johnny and Deuce, we have talked about Horizon Red Dawn. That was it's impressive, and I like where they're going, but I don't want to see that same boss battle over and over every time they display it. Quantum Dreams latest game that they showed at the PlayStation Experience last year was beautiful. I thought that was kind of like the best showing out of everything besides Rez. I thought that was very exciting. Hopefully they bring that to E3. But we got to get some. I feel like personally for Microsoft and Sony, when they come to E3, they got to bring some titles and they got to bring some dates. Compared to Nintendo, everybody just expecting more of the NX. So, and Zelda U release date or more info about that. So, that's kind of separate. But Microsoft and Sony, what do we have coming from them? Kind of from now until, the end of the year.
Just to sorry to counterpoint a little bit there. Not you, Edward, Larry, actually. You were saying how Sony had, like a strong entry, a middle and end, and stuff in between. Honestly, again, this comes back to I don't fully remember what happened at E3 last year. Like, besides Bethesda being a very strong showing on Sunday, most of E3 it's just like flew away from my head. Oh, and the puppets on Nintendo side. Shamu,
I was gonna say
I'm not.
those were great, and mad props to them for talking with Henson to get that happening. That was fucking awesome.
I love
Exactly.
that.
See, those are the type of things that make me remember an E3, right? From Sony, the thing that I remember was Uncharted demo breaking. They had to restore it. Um, I remember not being
Exactly.
excited about it. Broke. It literally
It
broke. Like
literally
it
broke.
broke on a
Yeah,
stage.
yeah.
It broke on a stage. That's it. That's the thing that I remember was, man, I can't believe this game is supposed to be out very soon and it's not done. That was my thought, right? Like I'm super excited for this game and it's not done. Like it's unbelievable to me, but whatever.
That raises a
Um,
really good question for in a minute here.
all right. Shamoon, I wasn't excited about it. I didn't grow up with the series to have any emotional effect on me, but I was very mad about how like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a Kickstarter launching right now. Like, really?
For a
You
Sony
are like you're
exclusive.
Sony. You have beat pockets. You cool back that entire game, but you want to see people's reaction first. Or if it doesn't get funded, then we just won't give any money. Like,
And and I would tell you,
what's wrong?
and I would say this: if Nintendo would have announced Earthbound 3 over and Sony showed Shenmue 3, I bet you Earthbound 3 would stand out more than Shenmue 3 does. Shenmue 1 and
100%.
2 failed. On two consoles, it failed. So why would people be happy about that they gotta pay for something when Sony's being exclusive? Where Earthbound 3, if it Earth Ryu broke Nintendo on Sunday. If Earthbound 3 was announced that Wednesday for immediate download Tuesday at the digital presentation, the servers would have still been broke. I'm surprised that find the cloud when they did the Smash one. I'm lucky Cloud didn't break the the servers for Nintendo. You know, I think that's the stuff that you kind of want to see coming, like the really big announcements like Shimmer 3. Yes, that's a great announcement, good for Sony, but when you added a Kickstarter, that becomes problematic. Definitely
Yeah, I
when,
didn't
like you
like it.
said, Adrian, when you're a big company like that with big pockets, you're selling tons of PlayStation 4s.
Yeah,
Why?
it almost feels like we don't know if this game is gonna sell. Let's throw it out there. If people like it, cool. It'll get funded and we'll polish it and stuff. But if it doesn't get funded, then oh, guess what? We didn't lose any money on the investment. Like, it was a weird way to manage it. I got really angry that last E3 because of that. I have a friend who is a very big Sony fanboy and a Shimu a fan, and I was like, you know what? Like, I can't even deal with you. I remember exiting the conversation and said like, I'm not this way too toxic for me. I put my phone down when I had a burger outside. Um, what else? You mentioned a third game. Oh, Final Fantasy VII. Yes. My problem with Final Fantasy VII is how much people feel they're entitled to a remake. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but
I
everybody
I
feels like,
Don't care about it.
I feel like it
sorry,
doesn't need a remake.
Seriously, I never got into it.
on Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no.
made the attempt to play it, and it just didn't grab me. The
I,
the one that grabbed me that was right around that same time period, though, that I did sink into RPG wise was Legend of Dragoon. I Dragoon.
yes, I
That
need to
to me was
finish
the
that
the
one.
RPG from the PlayStation One that really captured me. Final Fantasy VII just didn't do it for me.
And I like Final Fantasy VII because I played it at that time when it came out. But I don't think it needs the remake. And then actually, instead of it being a remake, it's an episodic. I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense.
Well, it's a remake. They're just breaking it into chapters.
But
well, that's VS though.
They're all being developed by different people, no less.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's stupid. Like I don't like that. I don't feel comfortable with that. The thing with episodic content as well, content is if you're an early adopter, then as soon as you finish chapter 1, you have to wait for chapter 2, which is fine. Sometimes you don't have time to just finish one game, so it will give you a reason to come back to it throughout the year. But then they release something like this, and for people listening, because I don't think we're publishing the video version of this. I'm showing the Life is Strange limited edition on Xbox One, which has, like the soundtrack, it has an art book,
yes,
it has the developer commentary, which are very important to me, plus all episodes of the game in just one disc. So when you're an early adopter, you're basically giving up like, oh, I'm buying every episode. Plus, if I want the collector's edition, I'll gotta buy it that later too. Like, that's kind of like a big slap on the face. So,
and definitely for a role playing game, you wouldn't expect that to be episodic. But if you,
decision.
Yeah, but I think people could want to argue or say, well, what about Golden Sun? They broke that into 2 parts, and I'm like, but Golden Sun is a GBA game that's not episodic. You get a lot of content with the first one, and then a couple of months later, you'll get the second one to complete a whole story. Where Final Fantasy, you have to wait probably for almost a year and a half to get the whole story. How did you break up 3 discs worth of game content into episodes? That's too much.
Not only that, but Golden Sun was a matter of, hey, we can't fit this much into one cartridge.
Correct.
We're still gonna make the way they saw was like, we either sacrifice graphics and game size to make it all fit into one cartridge, or we go as big as we wanted with these as originally intended, and we have 2 different stories. You see the story of the heroes at the beginning and of the villains becoming heroes later on the second part, right? So there are 2 different things. While Final Fantasy VII it's more of a, I mean, you really can't tell me you can fit everything you want on Final Fantasy VII on a 90. How much is a Blu-ray right now? Like 90 gigs?
Yeah.
Something
sizable.
Crazy like, yeah, exactly. Like, don't BS me. You can fit everything into there.
And I think, and Larry, I'm going to ask you probably this. Do you think that with it being episodic, it's going to be so much CG movie film than it is going to be actual gameplay? And is that where we're really getting with Final Fantasy VII?
I think that with it being episodic, we're probably going to see less CG fill, and I think that they may be working more of what used to be CG cutscenes from Final Fantasy VII potentially into in-game story. And I think that might be part of it, because with an episodic game, what we look at as episodic games these days are usually, I bought an episode and it's got maybe 2 to 5 hours worth of content.
Yes.
And, it's meant to be short and digestible, but also substantial and not a lot of filler. And I think that if they're going that route, that they need to definitely take a look and utilize that format and figure out how to take things that were non-interactive scenes and make them a playable part of the story, so that you feel like you're getting your money's worth out of, this episode, and not just, getting something that's half filler and half playable.
Well, what do you guys think of, like, how Sony is going to present their E3? So do you think they need to show a lot of games and give a lot of dates, and at the halfway point kind of talk about Final Fantasy? Because probably at the end of it, they'll probably speak about PlayStation VR. And then, because we don't know what is the big game that they're going to bring out, like to end the show. Even with Microsoft, like, do they bring out a couple of games, speak about indie games, talk more about their backwards capability, like more games coming out for that, and then they go HoloLens, and then do they have a ending game that's gonna like break everything? Because like Gears of War 4, you know, Game Informer has an exclusive story on it, and they'll probably show up more. Do you think they end the show with Gears of War 4?
I think, first off, I think you almost nailed their entire show. I think the only thing that's not going to be in there is I don't think they're going to hit on HoloLens, because Microsoft seems to, A, be shying away from looking at anything VR in terms of actually putting it on the market,
Mm-hmm.
and B, Microsoft has a great track record of coming out and showing this really cool tech and going, this is the thing we're doing, and then it vanished. You know, let's look back at the Illuma room. You know, this is a great concept. I would have been all kinds of behind that shit. You know, but again, it was showed once and then vanished off the face of the earth because they didn't want to split. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. They just, you know, it's looking at it going, do we really split our market down? You know, by going, these people have it and these don't, or do we keep it nice and consolidated and say, you know, everyone that bought our system has the same hardware to work off of, and we don't have to try and figure out how to cater to two different audiences. So, but like I said, namely the biggest thing is that track record of vanishing tech demos.
Do you think that the PlayStation...
I think Oh, no, go on.
Oh, did you think the PlayStation VR would follow that vanishing tech demo just the way they did that storybook concept that they had for PlayStation 3 and a little bit of move? Like, do you think that when they showcase PlayStation VR, does it vanish also because people are not going to support it? Like, do we get a price and a release date? And will that be the big thing for Sony for E3? And that probably why we're not seeing many games or hearing many announcements coming out.
I 100% think. VR of what's the name for? Is it PlayStation VR?
Yeah.
The official one.
Yeah.
Okay. I totally believe it's gonna appear on the show this year. You will probably get a release date and a price point, mostly because Oculus is also coming out this year, right? The pre-orders are up already. They've been up for a while. I think you can get one by July or something like that. So if Sony wants to get on that market, it has to do it now, because according to a poll done by IGN, only 15% of gamers are adopting a VR this year. Now, 15% of gamers it's quite a lot considering how big the world is.
Yes.
But if the Oculus comes out first, and I mean it's already kind of expensive, then yeah, the PlayStation VR is gonna fall behind, because if it's the same price of the Oculus, but you also need a PlayStation 4 and move controllers and the PlayStation camera and stuff, people are gonna say like, well, do I really want it? Especially if it's coming out later in the year. It's like, maybe not. Maybe I'll just get an Oculus. It will give me an excuse to have a very powerful gaming computer, which is actually it's way worthier than anything else than just a console, right? So,
yeah,
I don't know, but we'll see it. I'm pretty sure, 100% we'll see it.
I think Sony's invested too much into the PlayStation VR to drop it. I know that media-wise, they are trying to push it. They're pushing it carefully because they don't want to blow their wad before E3, I think. Mm-hmm. But they're doing a very deliberate move, I think, to keep it in focus and saying that this is a thing, it's coming, we're not dropping it. Be ready, pinch your pennies. It's not going to be cheap, but you want to buy it. We want you to buy it.
Do you think they need to, after E3, do you guys believe they need to start traveling around different states, different game stops, and getting people's experience with them more? And not just at conferences like PAX or something like that. Like really do like a 50-state tour and just be like, come to these GameStops and try out the PlayStation VR. Of course, the lines are going to be long and stuff, but you think they need to get the hands on out there before they actually go to release.
I think that's too expensive from a marketing perspective to do it, though.
But you don't want to go in. You don't want to end up getting the PlayStation VR blindly, though, because this is something kind of big.
I agree. But by the time the PlayStation VR comes out, there will be enough reviews out there and people with hands-on from events like PAX and GDX and stuff like that will hear a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't really care about reviews most of the time. For me, I think the most important point will be which game are you gonna make that will make me buy a PlayStation VR, right?
Well, everybody's saying it's Res.
Sorry?
Everybody's saying it's Res.
I don't know. Like I was and I don't know if you guys watch anime or not. I think Edward, you may watch a little bit, but I don't know about you, Larry. But there is an anime called Sword Art Online, which I don't like Sword Art Online. I don't like the anime. I think the opening is really good. The story it's garbage, but it's an anime in which you basically go inside a game and then you get trapped, right? And everybody's using these VR helmets to interact with the world, and I thought that was really cool. Then IBM did a teaser trailer basically saying like, hey, we're making this game with VR and Oculus, and you can create your own character and interact and play just like in the anime. I was like, okay, that is actually kind of dope. So yeah. if they release that game this year, holy crap, am I buying a VR? Like right now, right? That's day one, I'll buy it. Well, other than that, like there is no games that are really that important to me, honestly. Maybe No Man's Sky. It will be cool to pilot a ship, be able to look everywhere in the space while just relax on your chair while your ship is flying forward to a destination, sipping your coffee and just looking everywhere in the space. I think that will be really cool. But that game is already not VR supported. The developer said so himself. So what game are you guys gonna make that make me want to buy a PlayStation VR or an Oculus?
You know what series could really I think would be a great fit for anything VR, just because, like you said, much like Sword Art Online, just because of the nature of the series. I'd like to see Dot Hack come back around.
Someone announced that
yes.
Dot Hack was coming back,
Great
but
idea.
it's like iOS, Android.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think that's one that VR would be a great way to get back into Dot Hack.
And that was a 4-game episode when that came out for PlayStation 2.
The first one was a 4-game, and I think the Dot Hack GU was a 3-game series, if I remember right.
I believe so. Yes.
All right. Wow. So
my mitts on those again.
So as we get close to closing, I got to ask you guys just these two questions. What are you more fearful of? The PlayStation VR and HoloLens or Nintendo mobile games?
More fearful?
Yes. Like, do you fear that Nintendo may fail in the mobile space genre, gaming space, or would they succeed? Or will PlayStation and Microsoft, fail with their VR? Like, which one do you fear for most?
No, I think Nintendo, it's gonna bring it out of the park. Just with Pokemon Go, it's a safe lock, and I know they're not being the developers, but they have the publishing rights and they're behind the project. So whatever money Pokemon Go makes, some of that money is going towards Nintendo, and you'll be damn sure it's gonna be a lot of money. So I'm not fearful about that. I will say, HoloLens and PlayStation VR. As long as they don't show me something that I really want to play. Although Minecraft with HoloLens actually looks kind of cool, but I think I will get bored of it fairly quickly if they don't show much. So.
I think that honestly, no matter what happens either direction with Nintendo's new mobile stuff, it's it's not going to make a it's not going to break them if it fails miserably. If it does well, then yay. If it doesn't, then for them, I think it's a small side shoot off of their mainstay of what they're doing. I I really think that the big elephant in the room for them is, do they move the new Zelda to the NX? That's what I'm. Do we get Twilighted again?
That discussion I think we'll have for the next episode. So I will write that down, keep that in mind. My last question to you guys is that with E3 just coming around the corner within like 3 more months, about 3 more months, do you think that we should be like looking forward to any of the conferences of being the best conference as a winner, or do we just be happy that whatever they show is going to interest us and we're going to have a big discussion about it? Like, it gives us more option to look for the fall and winter for games.
I think that the way that they present themselves makes a big difference in terms of impact. You could show a whole lot of great games, but if you're not showing it in a way that gets me excited, like you're showing me footage of, somebody walking around in Shenmue not doing anything, then I don't care. Show me at least some snippets of the cool bits. Put them up in your presentation, and for God's sakes, don't sit there and fill it with bull crap like Sony is one to do with, we sold this many units this year, we're going to sell you this many. I don't want a numbers presentation at my E3 show. Knock that shit off. Stop it.
Yeah, like, why? Honestly, why would you share? Like, that's a press release email that you can send to big magazines, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is how much we've sold.
That shit out every year for E3.
Yeah, like, why are you wasting 30 seconds to a minute in a presentation that it's very tied to how much time you have? Why would you waste it on financials? That's just stupid, really. But
just to brag, I think.
Yeah.
I know we'll probably see more Psychonauts too. That I cannot wait. That I'm really looking forward to. Like I said, we'll probably see more Quantum Dreams game. I feel very fearful for PlayStation VR. I don't think it's going to do anything for the system. I, like you, Adrian, I kind of have faith in Nintendo that they'll pretty bring out some quirky mobile games that if I had to fear anything about the mobile games is that it'll take away from my 3DS. But then I remember Dragon Quest 7, Dragon Quest 8, and other great games come to that system. So I'm kind of set for the rest of the year and whatever they got for E3. I just feel like definitely I look forward to E3. I always I personally do who's the winner, and I usually always give it to Nintendo because I get happy and I clap because some of their stuff is very creative. I think this year is probably gonna be it's gonna be big for all three. Maybe Square Enix might be better this year if they return. Ubisoft is going to be very predictable. There's Tom Clancy, Just Dance, and whatever animal games.
Assassin's Creed.
Well, they're not doing Assassin's Creed this year, so
unless they announced Assassin's Creed for next year.
Yeah.
Ubisoft. There's a rumor floating, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. There's a rumor floating that Nintendo may be picking up Beyond Good and Evil 2. Do you think we see it this year at E3?
No, we don't. I don't think Nintendo's going to do. I don't think Nintendo was planning to do business with Ubisoft.
Yeah, they've been screwing Nintendo a lot lately,
Yeah,
so.
and I think the way that Ubisoft has been doing their games and treating their gamers, I don't think it's worth it. Like Nintendo has actually made Platinum and Namco actually look bigger in the spotlight, and they talked about that people want more of their games. With Ubisoft, it's everybody's been talking bad about Ubisoft because you had Assassin's Creed Unity broken. People don't want to play the Assassin's Creed no more. They're telling them to calm it down. Uh, People were upset that Rayman Legends got delayed so they could do whatever. Watch Dogs was a disappointment. Like Ubisoft they come out big and bold and talk, but it's been kind of a letdown at the end with their releases. Now the Division has gotten good sales, and I'm glad for that. They did a beta. It really worked out good for them. Lucky for them for as IP. But I don't think Nintendo is ready to do business with Ubisoft. Even though Ubisoft kind of supported them with the Wii U, I think the way that Ubisoft treated the Wii U was kind of was like bad on their part. Like delaying Watch Dogs and delaying Rayman Legends, and just like when we got those games coming to the system, they didn't really do anything for it. Like they didn't give us they didn't make it special. So I don't think Nintendo's going to do anything for Good and Evil, Good and Evil 2, especially when the first one didn't sell well. Now I will say this though, it will work well in Microsoft's favor to do it than Nintendo would, because Ubisoft really bigged up the division for Microsoft for Xbox One, and I think that's a good exclusive. Like they did Tomb Raider, I think that's a big exclusive for Microsoft because I think they would need it more to help them get more sales for the console than Nintendo would. Like to me personally, Nintendo would do better more with Atlas, Capcom, Namco, and Platinum. Just those four, because Nintendo has worked well with all those other companies. I don't think Ubisoft will work well with Nintendo. I think they will. They rather Ubisoft would rather work well with Microsoft for Beyond Good and Evil 2.
I wonder if though Nintendo might not push it just for a couple of reasons. One, because Ubi has been trotting this out, dangling it as the carrot on the stick for years now. Buy this game so we can fund Beyond Good and Evil 2. And I think if Nintendo were to trot it out, that would work well for both of them, because it really showed, when they did that with Bayonetta, it showed it's like we want to garner some favor with the gaming public out there and grow our audience a little. Bayonetta
Mm-hmm.
might not be our core audience, but let's lure some of those people to our system because we're the ones that stepped up and said we'll make it happen when nobody else will. And I think they could do that again with Beyond Good and Evil 2.
But
In addition, I think it might be a way for them to say, all right, let's maybe build a bridge here, because Ubi's obviously not that interested in putting anything into it. So if Nintendo says we'll handle it, you can still stick your name on it and receive some benefit for it. Just let us help fund it and make it go so it comes to light, as long as it's on our system. That might build some good relations with Ubi and encourage them to actually, put a little more spotlight on and a little more care into what they bring over to Nintendo.
and I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. I think what would happen is that if that does happen and Nintendo puts more people on there on Beyond Good and Evil, I think that will probably surpass any other title that Ubisoft releases. Like you would see a difference in the quality. You would be like, "Oh my goodness, this game is actually better than half of the games Ubisoft themselves work on." And there's no problems with it. I'm having fun, and it's creative. Look at Platinum. After after Platinum worked with Nintendo on Bayonetta 2, compared to Platinum working doing the that one game for Activision, the off of the that anime with the girl, I cannot think of it. Uh, it was kind of bad. Look at
It'll come in the middle of the night.
look at Transformers Devastation. Like, you could see probably Nintendo's influence on with Platinum, with them working so well. Like, I would believe that Nintendo would work with Platinum to get a Vanquish 2 out over Ubisoft getting a Beyond Good 2 out on NX. Like, I believe that would happen more.
I could see it. I just, part of me wants to get my hopes up and think that, it could be lurking in the wings, and I think there could be some benefit to it all the way around.
No. Well, if it does happen, I'll buy it, of course, because it's Nintendo, so.
Yeah, I'm not biased when it comes to Nintendo.
I know. But thank you guys for excellent discussion. This is episode 1 of World 1-1 podcast. I want to hear what you guys think, or we want to know what you guys think of the podcast, and what's your expectations for E3 for Microsoft and Sony, or even if you want to talk about Nintendo NX, or just have any ideas, you can email the show at myop2comment@yahoo.com. That's MYOP, the number 2, COMMENT @yahoo.com. We will have a World 1-1 email address coming soon, so please be on the lookout for that. Larry, where can we find you at? Or do you have any
Facebook.
plugs?
That's it. Facebook. I'm there. Larry is always right giver. I'm out there. I'm obnoxious. I'm a little offensive. So if you're not ready for it, don't click the friend button. Trust me.
And Adrian, where can we find you, and would you like to plug something?
Follow or go to thefirstimachine.com. That's my company's website.
Yay.
We're working on a tuna cycle right now, and we probably have a couple of announcements coming soon. So that's very exciting. Very exciting time. Very tiresome time.
Yeah, I hear that you guys are getting ready to announce, getting ready to release Puzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to check Retro Force.
But no, yeah, check that out. We're on every social media, the First Machine on everything except Twitter, because Twitter doesn't allow 15 characters, only 14 for some reason, so it's First Machine only. Follow me on Twitter personally. My personal account is Bojox, that's BOJOXZ. You can just follow me there.
And you can find me on Twitter at thatretrocode, ThatRetrocode. I have a podcast called Optional Opinion, where you can find that on SoundCloud and the Anomalous Radio Network.podbean.com. You can also find us on the MVC Video Game Book Club, where this month we're playing Pokemon, and I cannot wait for what we'll be playing in April. We do have a hangout coming out where we'll have a discussion, so hopefully you guys will be able to join us. Is there anything else what you guys like to say? This is episode 1. Anything, that you guys like to say or anything?
We plan on making these a weekly podcast. We're going to talk about, as much as we can about the gaming world. And, hopefully you'll enjoy and stick around. We'll try to be everywhere if possible. If we can get enough traction, I'll try to build a website for us. We can have that going too. So yeah, just stay tuned.
All right. And we are out. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.